I never imagined the day would come when my own parents would tell me that my children weren't welcome in their home. Yet, there I was, standing in my kitchen, gripping my phone, my heart sinking with every word my mother spoke. Darling, we need to talk about Thanksgiving this year. My mother's voice carried its usual warmth, the kind that always made me hope, foolishly, that maybe this time things would be different. Despite the tension that had lingered between us for years, I still longed for these family traditions. My kids, Lily and Noah, adored their grandparents, despite the obvious distance that had grown between us. I smiled, already picturing the familiar scent of roasted turkey and cinnamon filling their home. Of course, Mom. What's the plan? I asked, eager to keep the tradition alive. There was a pause, long enough to make my stomach tighten. Well, she hesitated, clearing her throat. We're doing things a little differently this year. It's going to be a smaller dinner. Just adults. I frowned. So, no kids at all? Another pause, then, more hesitantly, well, not exactly. A cold wave rushed through me. What do you mean? My mother sighed as if she were the one being inconvenienced. Sophia, we love your kids, we really do, but they're a bit energetic. We just think it would be better if you left them with a sitter this year. I gripped the edge of the counter. Just my kids? My voice was a whisper now, barely concealing the hurt that was quickly morphing into anger. What about Oliver's? Oliver, my older brother, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. She hesitated, and in that moment, I already knew the answer. Oliver and Mia are bringing their boys, she admitted. But you know how well behaved they are. They're just quieter, more refined. It's easier to have them at the table. A hot flush ran through me as if I had been slapped. They're just children, I said, my voice tight. Lily is 7, Noah is 4. Of course they have energy, but they love you. And you're telling me they aren't welcome? We're just trying to have a peaceful evening, Mom replied, her tone now clipped, irritated that I wasn't just accepting this. It's not personal. Not personal. I swallowed back the sharp words bubbling to my tongue. It wasn't just about Thanksgiving. It was years of being treated like an afterthought while Oliver's family was celebrated. The way my parents attended his son's school plays but never came to Lily's dance recitals. The way Christmas gifts for his kids were always a little more thoughtful, a little more expensive. And now they weren't even pretending anymore. I inhaled deeply, steadying my voice. If my kids aren't welcome, neither am I. A long silence stretched between us before my mother exhaled sharply, as if I was the one being unreasonable. Suit yourself? And just like that, she hung up. I stood there, my breath unsteady. In the next room, Lily and Noah giggled as they built a pillow fort, oblivious to the fact that the grandparents they adored had just cast them aside like an inconvenience. My fingers tightened around my phone. I had spent my whole life trying to earn my parents' approval, but at what cost? And if I gave in, if I went to that dinner while my children sat at home wondering why they weren't good enough, what kind of mother would that make me? No, I wasn't doing this anymore. They had made their choice. Now it was time for me to make mine, and they were going to regret it. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from Oliver. Oliver, Mom says you're being difficult about Thanksgiving. Why do you always have to make everything so dramatic? I scoffed, shaking my head. Dramatic? Of course. She had already gone running to him. Me. Oh, so she told you she uninvited my kids but invited yours? The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. A minute passed before he finally responded. Oliver, she just wants a calm dinner, Sophia. You know how your kids can be. A lot. A lot. Like they were a burden. Like they were something to be tolerated, not loved. Something inside me snapped. Me. Enjoy your perfect Thanksgiving, Oliver. I won't be there. I turned off my phone before he could respond. For years, I had been the reliable one, the one they called when they needed something. When my parents needed groceries picked up, I did it. When their Wi-Fi stopped working, I was there to fix it. When they needed help planning a family gathering, I made the calls and ran the errands. And Oliver? He showed up, smiled for the pictures, and soaked in the praise. But if I wasn't part of their preferred family, then they weren't going to benefit from me anymore. So when my father called asking me to set up his new TV, I let it go to voicemail. When my mother texted asking if I could pick up her prescription, I left it unread. 12 missed calls, 6 ignored texts. Then, the morning of Thanksgiving, I received a message from Oliver. Oliver, Mom and Dad are really upset you're ignoring them. Are you seriously going to let this go this far? Me. It already went too far when they told me my kids weren't welcome. This time, he didn't reply. Instead, my phone rang. My mother's name flashed across the screen. I sighed, debating whether to answer. Against my better judgment, I picked up. "Oh, so now you answer," she huffed. "I suppose you're just sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself while we're all here having a lovely dinner." I clenched my jaw. "Mom, if you called to gloat, I really don't have time." "That's not why I called," she snapped. "I need to ask you something." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "What now?" "Did you cancel the credit card?" Silence. I turned away from Nathan, lowering my voice. "What are you talking about?" "Your father's credit card, the one we use for groceries, gas, essentials. It was declined this morning." My blood turned to ice. The credit card she was talking about wasn't theirs. It was mine. Years ago, when Dad was recovering from surgery, I had added them as authorized users temporarily, just to help them through a rough patch. I had meant to remove them when they got back on their feet, but life got busy, and they never reminded me. And now they were acting like I had taken something from them. "Oh, don't be dramatic," Mom scoffed. "You make good money. We have figured—" "You figured what?" My voice was shaking. "That you could just keep using my money? That I wouldn't notice?" "Oh, don't act like this is some big betrayal. We raised you. The least you could do is support us now." A slow, bitter laugh escaped my lips. "After telling me my kids weren't good enough to come to Thanksgiving, you still expected me to keep paying for your groceries?" I let out a breath. "Are you even hearing yourself?" Silence. Then, in a voice colder than I had ever heard from her, she said, "You'll regret this." I smiled, gripping my phone tighter. "No, Mom, you will." And with that, I hung up.